Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and I want to talk to you guys about base locations in Palworld, because you've got a whole lot of fast travel points that are going to get you to many places pretty quickly. I mean, I would recommend using markers, so if you got to go back, it's like, I know that's a vendor, that's probably going to be a cave entrance, and a lot of these guys are going to be cool. Fast travel points really do make a lot of your bases quick to get to, so it's really not too far away, depending on where you place stuff. You've got your initial base, and honestly, I wish I would have built my base, my first one, in a slightly different place, and I'll show you. But later on especially, one of the things that you're going to want to look for is ore. And I've got a bunch of it on top of this mountain here. Not a bad thing, but you also notice I don't have a ton of room up here. So this is one of those spots that I want to make sure you guys know where some of these ore spots are, because if you need, like, say, a specific mining base, you may want one of these, and if this thing is completely tucked so high up out of the way that nothing is ever going to raid you, you're probably going to be fine. So the one I'm sitting at right now, in my little base location, is going to be like 268, negative 225. So if you find this one, it's pretty much almost due north from your initial base. If you pass over the Catras area, you'll find it up here on this mountain. But for me, this one doesn't quite feel right as a base. Now, maybe there's things they patch later on where some of the other ones that I'm going to show you are not quite as optimal, and this may be a good one to have as just an ore base if you need one specifically, because ore is truly one of those late game, mid to late game things. You just need pretty much all that you can find. Now, I wish you could have more bases, or even just like a quick fast travel point, where if I could just pop a few of those down, that would be nice. But overall, I still wanted to show you guys a couple of these ore places in case later on there's an issue with, previous bases, patch, they change the map, who knows. For now, this one does seem to be a really good ore spot, and ore is really important. But let me get back to the base, and let me show you guys what I mean. I'll show you a couple other mid locations, I would say, and then I'll show you my favorite location to actually put a base right now in the entire map so far that I've seen for multiple reasons, and we'll get to that at the end. Alright, so if you're like me at all, when you start the game, you literally walk out of the plateau of beginnings, you've got a fast travel point here, and you've got this little plateau with some ruins, and you're like, okay, I'll build my first base here. I wish I would have known to build my base, honestly, not far. So my base preference for a starting point would be right down here. Instead of your initial spot right here, it's literally 220, 540, negative 545. So positive 220, negative 545. And the reason is, when you start, all you need to do is build like a basic workbench so you can, make a couple of tools. And what I would recommend is truly just start with that. Talk to the expedition, get a few, pieces of wood so you can make an axe, gather up some stone that's sitting on the ground over here so you can get a pickaxe, and then just wander around for a little bit, gathering as much as you can. If you can get your, I'm not kidding, I would put your just basic workbench, you can put it right here. So build a few things right here. Don't build your PAL box yet, though, until you're ready to kind of settle down at the base. So try and make sure you capture, like, a few cativas, so you increase your capture or your weight capacity, so capture as many of those and make them your pals as quickly as possible. So try and capture those actually first, so they're in your party. And then what I would recommend is, once you feel like you've got enough paldium, so you can start making some pal spheres, capture some chickpeas, the lamb balls, whatever you need, all you got to do is come just over the ridge from where you start. And you got to do a bit of a walk. So maybe you're down here, you can walk along this one. If you go back to the top, come over here, you are so close to a much better starting point, because if you look at my blue circle, that is my main base right here. So you'll see over there, the blue circle has kind of all this elevated area up here in the back where these trees are. Not really using that for any building structures because it's partially up there. Part of it falls down this whole cliff area. Can't really use any of that. There's a piece of ore over here. If I would have moved it a little bit, but then I'm still messing with the ruins, and the ruins get in the way of you organizing your base with certain things. So instead of just literally right here, turn and come right over here. You'll see that big piece of ore right in the middle. Having ore inside your base that will start getting farmed pretty early on is really, really, really nice, because you can start stocking it up from near moment one. And down here, you'll notice you've got plenty of wood, stone, and one ore in the middle. So if you got some cativas that are out here working, because you know the cativas are going to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff. So I've got a little bit of mining, gathering, handiwork, transporting. You could leave the cativas out in your base if you capture enough of them. Like cativas, some of the early things you capture. But you have much more space here. I would just probably make sure that these last couple of trees and rocks are within the circle. Like this is kind of the back side of the circle. Put the middle of the PAL box somewhere over there. And then you're going to have just more open room, no ruins in it. And if you do leave raiding on, you're pretty much only going to either be, guys jumping off the cliffs to their doom or running down one section. But there's no real easy way to get to this base. And as I said, you've got ore right in the middle and you've just got more room. So if you can make sure that this side's encompassed, you can start putting PAL beds over here. If you want to build a structure, you can build some foundations and some stairs to get around. I just think this little corner over here just gives you more open flat land that you can use early on. Pretty much the only thing I would say is make note of where the ore spot is, build something around it so you don't mess with that spot, like make sure it's always going to come back. And then other than that, have fun with more, in my opinion, more open space, because you can even do all the way to over here. Just here to there, just completely flat, almost more of a circle, and it's right next to the starting point. And then all you got to do is use your PAL box as a fast travel point. And your fast travel point's going to let you start up at the top. And then all I would say from there is just do a run, literally from the top to the bottom. So if you start up here, you've got your fast travel point. Take the path all the way from the top to the bottom, gather what you need, bring some cativas with you for storage. If you're back in your base, make sure they're out doing work that you can. And then every time, just fast travel there and then make your run. I can land so I don't crash. Start up here, go down the path, go all the way down, and you got a fast travel point at the bottom of the hill down there. And if you get a decent mount, just doing runs early on to get wood and stone and building materials and all that stuff, paldium here. All you got to do is go to the top or the bottom to get back to your base. As soon as you get a flying mount like a Nightwing that you'll get early on, then you're even better because you can just, fly right over there. So just for an initial spot, my recommendation is actually just, instead of the tempting one right in front of you, gather up some materials, and then when you're finally ready to put a PAL box down, just go over here, and then when you need fast travel, bam, or here, and you're good to go. So for a starting position, that is my recommendation. Take it or leave it, it's up to you. I just would prefer that my base up here was not so confined and obstructed by cliffs and other things. I just think you're better off down there, and you're probably a bit more protected if you got raids going on. Now, the other ones that I want to show you are going to be mining spots and also kind of my final base location. So let me go to the first one. Doesn't take too long to get to, so I'll just do that real time. And the first one is going to be a base that I've heard mentioned, but I don't love its location. And it's right over here at the fort ruins. And the fort is not bad. It's defended. Again, some of this depends on if you leave raids on. The higher up you get, the better. I would probably say that raids get to be a little more annoying than early on. They're not really high level, so they're not that bad. This one is not bad, because you've got some pretty much indestructible walls as part of the base. All of this stuff here. And then, if you need to put up defensive walls, you've only got a few choke points that you need to kind of funnel everything into. Or if you just want to leave one side open with defenses, those are pretty easy to set up as well. Now, I don't know how much space you're going to have inside the walls, how big the circle would go. I wish there was a way to, see what a PAL box would look like from above. It's kind of one of those things that hopefully they figure out long term. But you've got some options here that are not going to be bad because you've got, decent amount of room on the inside and outside, but you could be restricted in building space again because of these actual relatively thick walls. Now, it does actually give you access to ore that is pretty close by. I would say it's close on flight, but if you're going, on foot or a ground mount, it's going to take you a little while to get over here because you got to go over there. I don't know if you're going to climb up the mountain and then cross the bridge. Now, it's not a bad thing to have anything like this nearby. It's really not, especially when you start flying. This is great because you can come up here and you can gather 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ore nodes and just bounce back and forth. Problem is, flying and fast travel is not quite as efficient that way. So don't forget that this is here. So you got this little mining section right here at 157, negative 397. It's pretty much right next to the fort ruins, really close to your initial base, just right up here on this mountain. The better one for ore is going to be right over here by the Desolate Church, because I've used that one, and the fast travel point makes it a game changer because I can just fast travel. It's like 15 seconds to go to get to the ore nodes, and then run back. I can do it all on foot, put Cativas in my party, load up, and I can have, you know, at this point I have like 700, so I'd be up to like 950. And this is why this location, so it's 71, negative 409, way better if you're farming ore. And this is again why early on I just use this to farm ore and then bounce back and forth between my main base down here. And as your base is limited when you're trying to get to some of those higher levels, I would be really cautious where you build that base, because this is the ore I'm talking about. It's literally fast travel and run behind the church, and you're just loaded. There's like 8 ore nodes back here, a bunch of trees which you probably won't need. This one actually has some ground that if you did feel like building a base, you could. I don't feel like it's probably the best use of a base, because there's one better. And if you kind of get to the point where you start doing mining runs and ingots and stuff like that, you're probably at the point you have a Nightwing, you've got a bit of a flying mount, and you can make it a little bit farther. So again, this is a good spot for mining ore, absolutely, but I don't know if it's the best one for a secondary base. For me, if I have to pick one so far from all of my running around that I've seen, so you've even got a couple of these places marked, like right over here, for example. Some of these things that I've got marked with the pickaxe are just good mining nodes, but again, they're typically just going to be mining nodes that are related to ore. Now this one is way the crap up on top of a hill, so you've probably got a little bit more defense. Apparently I've got to go a little higher. I'm just trying to show you guys some of these mining option spots that you've got, but also what it takes to get to them. I think some textures are a little broken right now, there we go. A little bit of long range texture pop in. And then as you get closer, it fixes it with the real texture. It's early access, guys. Give them a break. Oh, what do you know? Found a lift monk. Somebody put together a map for those, that'd be great. Now, up here, as you can see, I am at negative 257, negative 217. You're going to see a whole bunch up here. You got some flyers, you got some gale claws, things like that. Got actually some megaspheres on the ground. And this is not a bad one. Now, if you were looking for a base with ore, and you don't have to deal with raids, you got a lot of stuff here. So you got a bunch of ore nodes, you got a bunch of stone, you got trees galore, and then as your guys are just working, they'll clear stuff out. You've actually also got a really important thing, that little tree of fruit that occasionally will get more fruit on it, which is how you teach your pals certain abilities that only kind of come from these tree fruits. This is all right here. This is not a bad one. This is probably what I would put as my runner-up for a base spot, because the land is generally flat, tons of ore, decent creatures out here that you probably haven't been to, but it's going to take you a little while to get over here. You're going to have to go from your base all the way over here. And again, I've gone to this place in such a weird, obscure direction. But if you want to know the location, again, it is negative 256, negative 214 up on this hill. And again, if you see Beacon, it's over there. The Deep Bamboo Thicket or the Investigator's Fork, you're close. Sealed Realm of the Winged Tyrant. All of these things are kind of around it. So you've actually got a couple. You've got the Quivern, which is actually a really good one. But for base locations, this is probably my number 2. Now, it's not the most level ground, so there's that kind of working against it. But it is a really viable option for a ton of ore. Just a lot of trees on it as well, which makes it kind of... I don't know how that's going to be for clearing out and building and stuff, but with some patience, I think a lot of people can put some good use to this one. The final one we're going to go to is my number 1 base spot, and it's where I finally settled my second base, and it is 190, negative 37, or here, more specifically say like 188, negative 37. Let me fast travel over there and I'll show you why. Now, the reason I wanted to show you the other base locations, because anything like that can be very viable, because you need a buttload of ore. And you need some good way to farm it. Now, I'm not currently set up to where this is probably my most efficient one, because just depending on who's out here. But once you get to a point where you've got certain pals, you really want to be able to drop some of these big guys out here. So if I want a guy farming ore, he's going to do nothing but mining, and he's going to be out here just cooking. That's all he's going to do. That's why those Doug Toys are crazy powerful. Yeah, when you can get those, it's really good. But this base location is honestly one of the best. So what you've got is a plateau that is damn near isolated. If you ever want to see how big the circle is, this is about perfect. You can see the circle back there on the edge, farther on the left, draw the circle all the way around, and it is almost the entire plateau up here. You got a little raised section in the middle, You can put your PAL deck up there. And I think if you shifted my PAL box right here, shimmied it a little bit like right over there, you would probably have the entire upper plateau completely circled. It's just fallen off a little bit here to the right, and I missed a smidge over there on the left, but it is not a big deal. But this is amazing because you have coal on one side, which is a later mineral that you're going to need, and you've got ore on the other side. This is truly the best base location. Now, the other ones are not bad if you need ore farms. The one by the Desolate Church is good for teleporting to. And honestly, it's kind of like what you're going to run into early on. But if you want your second base, as soon as you get a flying mount... Now, this thing is up on a cliff, don't get me wrong. It's going to take a flying mount to get up here, pretty much. But if you can find this cliff and get to it, I honestly can't picture a better one. It is a big flat circle up on a giant high plateau, and you've got ore and coal in the same spot. No other location I've found is like this. And it also doesn't have to deal with the elements of hot or cold. There's going to be some stuff I haven't got to, whether it's hot or cold areas. There's a whole bunch of the map that I haven't been to. Obviously, there's going to be good stuff in other places. But as this is a neutral temperature, and it has all of this stuff to offer, I even think I've seen in some places where they think this might actually get patched. Maybe. But again, kind of depends on how much they really care about making your time worth it, because you've still got to have the guys actually do the mining. So this is my final one, and this is where I would probably tell you the best one is. It's going to take you, again, a bit of a hike. It is almost due north from your starting location, though, so if you're looking for it, go about due north, and you get up to this snow area or the lava area. Probably not quite. If you find the seated realm of the Guardians, kind of this weird, looks like almost like an actual mining site in real life. This is the one. So 188, negative 37. Some point there's going to be a better base found than this one, or they're going to patch the map and make some other things more viable. But right now, coal and ore in the same spot in a big flat plateau that you don't really have to worry about defending ever, even if you do have raids on. Can't really picture a much better one. I would organize it with, you know, if you want a wall to grapple hook to, if you get too full picking stuff up. Probably put a little bit of a foundation and building down so you clear out a few of the trees. Make sure you don't build over where ore spots are, so make sure those are completely untouched. But other than that, this is where I would spend my time, and this is where I would invest in a second base. So hopefully this helps you guys out, and hopefully this is a good one to shoot for long term. Early on, use that Desolate Church. Teleport, grab the ore, go back to your base, get it smelting. Like, I'll do 2 or 3 runs, clear out the ore, and then I'll just leave somebody with kindling, cooking that stuff at my base for a while. And then I'll just jump on some mountain and I'll go a-wandering like I have many times. But if you need ore, probably the best place to get it. But for a secondary base, because it takes a while to get that third one unlocked, secondary base, can't recommend this one enough. So hopefully this helps you all out. Enjoy. There's obviously plenty of the game that I haven't seen yet because I've been trying to play reasonably and I didn't crank my experience up to like max. If you did, it's fine too. Play however you're having fun. Just trying to see how it feels. If you enjoyed this one, though, drop a like below. If you've got a cool base location, drop it onto the comments because I will actually go to those. And if there's something that beats this, I'll drop a video out. We've got a lot of stuff coming up recently. Enshrouded dropped recently. Suicide Squad is coming around the corner. The open beta for Skull and Bones. Like, there's so much stuff going on. But, again, as Palworld is popular and you guys are enjoying the videos, I'll keep making them because I'm still having fun with the game, too. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the alert bell. Again, if you got a good base location, drop that in the comments or just say hello, whatever. And if you want to find me on Twitch or Twitter, it's Ebontis over there. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you soon.